Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video here on the SSA Philosophy channel, where we dive right on into the philosophy of characters from video games to TV shows to movies, etc., etc. So, today's video here today, we're going to be going over the philosophy of the character known as the Red Hood. So, of course, without any further ado, as always, let's go on ahead and let's get started. So the Red Hood from the 2010 animated film, Batman Under the Red Hood. Now he isn't really just like a villain, but people's minds they pretty much overall say that he is more of a tweener more than anything, because really he is a complex character, one that is shrouded in mystery, whose very existence forces Batman to confront a painful chapter in his past. But really, before we delve into the chaos that he unleashes on Gotham, let's go on ahead and really just set the stage before we really get further into this. So really, Batman's greatest failure, of course, a young brash Robin known as Jason Todd is, of course, in the movie, early in the beginning is murdered by the Joker, and really this defining, tragedy. Really, it haunts, Bruce Wayne, and really the guilt, a constant weight, and really under the Red Hood, really it throws a wrench into this grief, by introducing a new vigilante known as the Red Hood. Of course, the Red Hood is ruthless and violent, and he cracks down on crime with an iron fist, mirroring a darker side of Batman's own methods. And really, this raises a chilling question that could this be Jason back from the dead filled by vengeance? Well, of course, some of you already may know or don't know, but of course, let's find out overall if you are not quite as familiar with this character altogether. Or if you are familiar with this character, then good on you. Good on you indeed. But let's go ahead and continue. So really the mystery of Red Hood, his identity, really is the film's driving force. So Red Hood operates with a hidden agenda and his motives are unclear. Because really he clashes with criminals, yet he seems to have a twisted moral code because he openly criticizes Batman's no kill rule, sparking this fierce debates about justice and Gotham's broken system. And really, this ambiguity, it really keeps both Batman and the audience guessing that is he just a villain that is seeking revenge, a twisted hero with a warped sense of justice, or something else entirely. So really, as the Red Hood's influence, really as it grows, his methods become increasingly more and more brutal because really this puts him on a direct collision course with Batman. And the confrontations are electrifying, pretty much forcing Batman to confront, not only the Red Hood's violence, but also his own past failures. And really the film, it really delves deep into their ideology, pretty much into like, their, ideological clash, raising questions about the true meaning of justice and the cost of vengeance. So really, under the Red Hood, this movie doesn't really shy away from the emotional core of the Red Hood's rage because really it hints throughout the film, and the film's climaxes, pretty much reveal a shocking truth that the Red Hood, of course, if you already been known, is indeed Jason Todd. Resurrected and consumed by a thirst for revenge against the Joker and Batman for failing to save him. And really, this revelation really it personalizes the conflict, making it a heart wrenching exploration of loss, grief, and the cycle of violence. So really, the Red Hood of Under the Red Hood is really more than just a villain. Really, I would say he is a symbol of Batman's greatest failure, a reminder of the heavy cost of his crusade. And really, he's a catalyst for a change, forcing Batman to confront his own methods and the emotional scars that define him. So, really, he's a very complex character that really blurs the lines between, hero and villain, leaving a lasting impact, on the film itself and the Batman mythos. So, really, with the introductions all out the way, let's go on ahead and dive into the philosophy of this character. And of course, this is what I like to call Red Hood's brutal pragmatism, a philosophy forged in broken justice. So, the first part we want to focus on is the cycle of violence, broken. So, unlike Batman's endless pursuit of a justice system that constantly fails, Red Hood believes, now see, Red Hood, he believes in a permanent solution, which basically overall is killing the world's criminals. The Jokers who escape Arkham again and again is the only way to break the cycle. And really, it's a dark, utilitarianism, sacrificing a few lives to prevent countless others. So, really, Jason, his story, honestly, is really one of a brutal loss. Brutally murdered by the Joker. And of course, his death is really a turning point because Batman's refusal, to kill the Joker, really a decision fueled by his own moral code, really it becomes the catalyst for Jason's rebellion because he sees Batman's no kill rule as a weakness, a principle that allows monsters like the Joker to keep preying on innocents. And really, Red Hood, like he operates under the belief that true justice requires finality because he believes that eliminating criminals like the Joker permanently severs the chain of violence. Now, really, this eye for an eye approach, really, it stands in stark opposition, really in the stark opposition to Batman's faith in rehabilitation and the justice system. So Red Hood, like he views the revolving door of Gotham's justice system with contempt, and he sees criminals released only to reoffend, you know, and this right here in his eyes perpetuates the cycle of violence, allowing villains like, say, the Joker to continue their reign of terror. And he even argues that by eliminating them, he's preventing future tragedies. Now, while Red Hood, while he believes that his actions are justified, the film doesn't really shy away from the emotional and moral consequences because his violent actions, his methods, isolate him from Batman and his former comrades because the film pretty much leaves the question lingering. Does ending the cycle of violence truly justify becoming part of it? And also another point I want to focus on into Red Hood's philosophy is really fear, fear as a deterrent. So see, Batman. Now, see, the thing about Batman is that Batman, as we've already seen, countless times, like say, whether you watch, Batman shows and movies and even play video games, Batman inspires fear in criminals. But Red Hood, on the other hand, is different because while he inspires fear, Red Hood weaponizes it because his brutality becomes a legend, a chilling whisper that keeps low level thugs in line. And really, it's a twisted form of order, you know, but in Gotham's chaos, even fear can be a fragile piece. So, really, unlike the Silent Guardian, Red doesn't really shy away from brutality because he makes a show of his violence, leaving a trail of fear in his wake. And really, this public display is really meant to send a shockwave through the criminal underworld, dissuading others from following a similar path. Now, Red Hood, he doesn't really just scare criminals, but he aims to break them. Now, his methods, like I said, they're brutal, leaving criminals scarred, not just physically, but mentally. And this extreme approach, really, it aims to instill a deep seated terror, making criminals think twice before committing a crime. And Red Hood, like he recognizes that fear isn't rational because while he might focus on rehabilitation, Red Hood believes that some are just too far gone because he targets the unscared, those who wouldn't be deterred by the standard Batman routine. Because for them, only a taste of true fear might make them hesitate. So really, Red Hood's approach, really, it's a stark contrast to Batman's because while he believes that fear can be a tool, it's not the ultimate goal. Because really, he aims to break the cycle of crime, not just to terrify criminals. And really, this core difference, really, I say it's really, really, I would say that it sets the stage for their clash at the end of the movie. Pretty much the philosophical clash, I would say. Like, is fear a deterrent or is it a crutch? And really, the movie it leaves this question open ended, forcing the audience to pretty much consider the effectiveness and morality of Red Hood's brand of violence. And also, another point I want to focus on is justice for the forgotten. Now, it's no question without a shout of a doubt that the system failed Jason because he died a nobody, and his murder a mere blip in Gotham's news cycle. Because he Red Hood, is the character. Really, the Red Hood, like he fights for those that the system ignores, for the victims who slip through the cracks. And his methods are harsh, but they do bring a twisted justice where the official one falters. Now, Jason Todd, the man under the red hood, he was once, pretty much under the red hood mask was once Robin, pretty much Batman's second sidekick, unlike Dick Grayson, who, of course, was the first Robin who eventually became Nightwing. Now, Jason, he lacked, privilege, because he came from the streets, a place where the law often failed. And this shaped his perspective on justice because it wasn't really something abstract, but really it was a matter of survival. And when the Joker brutally murdered Jason, Batman failed to deliver the ultimate justice, that Jason craved. And the death penalty, for the killer, pretty much. And this failure became the catalyst for Jason's transformation because he saw Batman's no kill rule as a luxury for the privileged, a way to maintain a moral high ground that ignored the suffering of those on the fringes. And really, when it comes down to taking justice into his own hands, because being resurrected by mystical means, Jason becomes the Red Hood because really he embodies a more brutal form of justice, one that permanently removes criminals who prey on the vulnerable because he targets drug dealers, traffickers, those who exploit the very same underbelly that he once struggled in. And the Red Hood also operates on the principle that some threats require permanent solutions, which is a stark contrast to Batman's belief in rehabilitation. So the thing about Red Hood is while he does targets, because his targets are undeniably bad, his methods are morally questionable because he crosses a line that Batman refuses to cross. Blurring the lines between hero and villain. And really, what this creates is this creates a fascinating moral complexity because the film doesn't really shy away from questioning, whether his ends justify the means. So really, this focus on justice for the forgotten, really, it's really what makes I would say Red Hood such a compelling character because really he represents a raw desire for a system that protects those who fall through the cracks, a system that delivers a final absolute form of justice for those who have suffered the most. And also, another part I want to focus on is redemption through vengeance. So, really, Red Hood, Red Hood overall is a character that I'm sure a lot of people already know for a fact is known for his rage, because I mean he is a character overall that you can definitely consider is definitely known for his rage. And really I would say his rage is a double-edged sword because the thing is while his rage, while it does of course feel his war on crime, but it also holds a twisted form of redemption. So really by punishing the criminals who took everything from him, he seeks a twisted form of peace, a closure drenched in blood. So the thing about the Red Hood is that he believes that the justice system is broken because it allows monsters like the Joker to slip through the cracks, leaving a trail of victims in their wake. And his vengeance, it isn't really just about, the personal satisfaction, but really it's about enacting a twisted form of justice. Because he believes that permanently removing these threats, he's preventing future tragedies. Because he sees it as a form of redemption for those who couldn't be saved, a way to ensure their suffering wasn't in vain. However, though, the Red Hood's path is fraught with peril because his methods, namely lethal force, mirror the very evil that he seeks to eradicate because he walks a tightrope, teetering on the edge of becoming the monster that he despises. And also, this internal conflict, really this internal conflict, I would say, is a core aspect of the Red Hood's character because there is a flicker of the heroic Robin beneath the Red Hood's rage because he questions the cost of his actions, the line between vengeance and justice. And and really this internal struggle, it really creates a compelling complexity, making him a fascinating anti-hero. And the Red Hood's philosophy of redemption, this part, through vengeance, really it challenges, the traditional hero's code because what it does is that it forces all of us to question the nature of justice and the cost of vengeance. Because, like I said, because while his methods are morally ambiguous, his core desire, to protect the innocent, it remains a twisted echo of his time as Robin. So really, the film, it really explores the struggle, very well, and really leaving the audience to ponder the weight of vengeance and the possibility of redemption on a dark and unforgiving path. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much overall concludes pretty much the video here today, ladies and gentlemen. So really, Red Hood and Batman under the Red Hood. Honestly, he is a very complex and tragic figure because he embodies the pain of loss, the fury of betrayal, and the warped sense of justice that is filled by vengeance. And really, Jason's story, like his story is one of trauma because orphaned and living on the streets, because really he's a stark contrast, to the privileged Dick Grayson. Because Bruce, he sees potential. Like Bruce, like he sees potential in Jason's rage, a potential for good by channeling, pretty much by channeling, it into a Robin. However, though, the film hints that Bruce might have been more focused on replacing Dick than truly nurturing Jason. So really, Jason's brutal death at the hands of the Joker really is a turning point because really it exposes a vulnerability in Batman's no kill rule. Because the fact that the Joker walks free after Jason's murder becomes an unbearable weight for Jason, twisting his perception of justice. And also, of course, to mention the fact too, I think if I am correct in this case, that people who probably overall, who probably saw Jason Todd as Robin, I'm pretty sure I'm okay. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that I heard something overall how fans had voted for him to die. Voted for him to actually die and get killed. If I am correct. I mean, but comment down below if I'm actually correct on that. That fans actually, comment and actually voted for him to actually die. If I'm correct on that. But let me know though. But yeah, but the thing about Red Hood though is that his methods are really a dark reflection of Batman's because he uses violence and intimidation, blurring the line between crime fighter and criminal. Because he's a reminder of what Batman could become if he succumbed to his rage. So really the film. Now, the thing is that the film doesn't really offer easy answers. And I like that a lot. And honestly, that's the thing. I mean, this is like, I mean, really, this is what I like, about movies like this. The fact that it doesn't offer us easy answers. Because the thing about this is that Red Hood isn't some villain, seeking world domination. Because the thing is, he's a he's a deeply troubled individual seeking a twisted form of justice. And his goal is to expose the flaws in Batman's system and make him confront the cost of his one man war on crime. And really, the final confrontation between Red Hood and Batman really is very heartbreaking. Honestly, this is definitely overall, without a shadow of a doubt, probably one of the, if not probably the best scene really in the movie. And really, overall, get you to understand like both sides, both from Jason's perspective and even from Batman's perspective. And honestly, I mean, it's very like well done of a scene in the movie. I have to admit, it's a very, very well done scene. Like great scene, great acting, everything was amazing about this scene. And so yeah, so really the final confrontation between the two, really it's a clash of ideologies, one that is filled by a shared grief. Because while he is consumed by guilt over failing Jason, Red Hood, on the other hand, is consumed by anger. So really the film, it really ends with no reconciliation, which really is pretty much leaving the question of Jason's potential redemption unanswered. So really, under Red Hood, really it establishes Red Hood as a significant player in the Batman mythos because he's a constant reminder of the consequences of trauma and the price of vengeance because he challenges Batman's ideals and forces him to confront his own failures. And really, Red Hood's story, it really raises questions about justice, morality, and the cycle of violence that plagues Gotham City. And really, he's a character, both sympathetic and terrifying, which is basically him being a product of the very darkness that Batman fights against. So, really, this is a philosophy, that is born from trauma, a desperate attempt to impose order on a broken world. So, Red Hood, so by any means, Red Hood is not a hero. That's what we'll say about this. Like, he's not a hero, but but really, he's a product of a system that failed him spectacularly. So yeah, his methods are questionable. His rage is a ticking time bomb. But in the darkness of Gotham, his brutal pragmatism offers a chilling alternative to the endless cycle of crime and punishment. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that of course is, the end of this video here today. And of course, as always, if you have stayed this far to watch the video and if you enjoyed it, I appreciate it. I thank you all, of course, if you do. And also, don't forget to like, to comment, and subscribe for more explorations into the minds of your favorite characters on this channel. And also to hit the and also to hit the notification bell to also stay updated on my latest videos as well too. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Overall, I want to thank you all again. So I hope you all have a very beautiful, blissful, and wonderful day. And always remember to always be smooth, to always be steady, and to always be aggressive. Peace.